Sloth Uni, we got another one. Look, we coming with a NFL so far tier list, power rankings, whatever you want to call it. It's my compilation of or a listing of all the teams so far in the season. We're about halfway through the season, and I think it's time that we did some reflection on all 32 teams and how their season is going and what I expect from teams going forward, and who I think is going to make the playoffs, who I think is going to go on a run late season, who I think is going to fall off, and honestly, whose season is done. But let's get straight into this, man. We don't even got to talk about it too much. As you can see, first up, we got to rev up those mock drafts. Listen, if you see your team on this list, we're gonna go bottom to top because it's starting from bottom teams all the way working up to number one, who I got in my power rankings. But if you see your team on this, yeah, it's time. Listen, it's time to start doing mock drafts. It's time to start watching those college draft prospect videos. It's time. Listen. You see Cancun in there because that's where your team is headed. Look, I don't know if you can see it. I know my big head is in the way, but I had to put the face cam somewhere. I had to put it somewhere. But look, if your team is on this list, it's over. It's over. Like, you may still have some hope. It's over. Listen, my team it's over. Trust me. Stop while you ahead. Enjoy the rest of the season. Look, it's a blessing in disguise. You got stress-free football the rest of the year. Stress-free football just enjoy the sport. Watch the sport. Maybe make some bets. Just root for other teams. You don't even gotta be a fan of the team. Just pick a team and be like, I want this guy to win. I just go into games. Now just, hey, listen. Yeah, I mean, this is what I do for all non-Miami Dolphin games. But I just go into games and I just watch the sport to enjoy it. That's what we gotta do. But starting off, we got the New York Jets. Listen, they're chopped cheese, chopathon, chopanita, whatever you want to call it. They're winless, and I think it'll be a while before they do get a win. I don't think Aaron Glenn is the answer over there. And I don't think it's gonna get better anytime soon. This franchise has been pretty bad for quite some time, and you got the owner calling out the quarterback publicly, and in an effort to, after he was benched, to be like, yeah, he was that guy right there, Justin Fields, yeah, the guy we just paid a contract to, gave all that money to. He was the reason we have been losing. Or not all the way losing, but he's been one of the main reasons why we've been so bad. Yeah, it's a good thing he's no longer a starting quarterback. Yeah, and it turns out the backup to Rod Taylor got hurt, so now the guy the owner was talking trash about is now going back to start for your team. Listen, for everything that people want to say about the Miami Dolphins, the Jets are even more dysfunctional. Like, how is the highlight of your season your head coach dancing on the sidelines? But Tennessee Titans, this is a living embodiment of when I tell you guys, you have to set your young quarterback up for success, or else you could possibly ruin them. Remember how I said, I hope the New York Giants don't undercook or overcook Jackson Dart, because Jackson Dart had all the tools. I mean, they up in there chefing. They up in there. I know the dudes with the wok steak. They chefing Jackson Dart. I like what they're doing. Love what they're doing. They're trying to acquire another young wide receiver. I love that, because Malik Neighbors, he hasn't even had surgery yet. So who knows when he'll be back next year. Go grab another young wide out. Maybe they'll trade for one, draft one, but the Giants are, hopefully, sounds like they're doing things the right way. The Titans are not. And they're messing up the meal that's Cam Ward. Cam Ward is extremely talented. Anybody with eyes can see that. but you run the risk of potentially ruining the confidence, the internal clock, the way your quarterback reads the game, the way your quarterback plays the game, if you put them in situations where they're not set up to succeed, or at least have some type of success and be able to progress throughout the game. Because right now, all he's getting is game reps. That's it. They're really not making progress towards much of anything. And if they do make progress, it's not substantial. I don't think it'll get better towards this season. Maybe towards the end of the year, just because he'll be closer to a full year under his belt. But I will say they do have some very interesting young wide receivers in Kamari DK and Eleke Minor. So that I would love to see them beef up the O-line and add a legitimate wide receiver alongside those young guys. But until then, yeah, go listen. If you're a Titans fan, if you're a Jets fan, those mock drafts are going to do you wonders. I just realized that Las Vegas Raiders don't exist. Listen, in my defense, this font is very stupid to type with, and you can't see some of the letters that you're typing. The Las Vegas Raiders. So, Geno Smith is actually one of the worst quarterbacks in the scene. I'm going to be checking all the typos that I quite possibly could have done. I would have thought that Cincinnati was the one that was giving me the most trouble, but honestly, Tennessee. Tennessee wasn't that hard to spell. Honestly, Cincinnati was giving me a little bit of trouble, but the Raiders obviously were giving me enough trouble. But I don't even know where to begin with the Raiders. They need to trade Max Crosby, honestly. They said they're not, but you know how teams get. Sam Darnold is our guy. Josh Rosen is our guy. Josh Rosen is our guy. Teams say anything. Teams, especially front offices of teams, will literally just say anything to look good in front of the media. But behind closed doors, somebody gives up 2 first-round picks to go get Max Crosby, they're going to get Max Crosby. They're going to give up Max Crosby. It'll be interesting to see who actually would be banging their line. One interesting team that I would really love to see do it, though I don't think they will, would be the Cowboys. Because they did just get all those assets from trading Michael Parsons. I know they just traded Michael Parsons because they didn't want to pay him, and they're gonna go ahead and trade all the stuff they got from Michael Parsons for another top tier edge rusher. But Max Crosby is already on a deal. It'll be interesting to see if he does get a new contract, but I think that he will ask for a new contract if he does get traded, because this is his last year with guaranteed money. And I would be shocked if his agent doesn't get a new deal going to a new team. Like, if the second they get traded, they're like, hold up. Are you going to give us a new deal? If not, we're not going anywhere. But the Raiders are chopped. The Raiders are chopped cheese. Jacoby Myers is more than likely on his way out. They asked him, hey, are you still interested in getting traded? We know you had requested a trade in the offseason. He said, yes, I am very interested in getting traded. Get me out of here. He didn't say that last part, but it's inferred. The Raiders are they have Ashton Dempsey, though. One of the things that's up there with drafting a quarterback when your team is not ready is drafting a first-round running back when your team is clearly not ready. Because why on earth, why would you draft a first-round running back if your team is clearly not in position to sustain anything? Like, I get it, you guys wanted to try to be competitive, but the difference with what the Seahawks did with Sam Darnold in grabbing a retread quarterback and the Raiders did with grabbing a retread quarterback, the Seahawks already had JSN and they went out and got Cooper Kupp. They already had 2 great running backs, or they had 1 great running back and 1 running back who's a little overrated in my opinion. But he's a great blocker. He's a great blocker. Great football player. Great blocker. Bad for fantasy. But they also had a young tight end who they believed in. And yes, I know the Raiders have one of the best pass catching tight ends in the league. Don't say anything about that. But what I'm saying is the Seahawks actually did their best to try to set Sam Darnold up for success, and the Raiders kind of they didn't do that with Geno. They didn't do that with Geno or Ashton Genty for that matter. I do think that better days are ahead for this team, maybe, but they will definitely need to rebuild going in the direction of their head coach, because this had the feel of they were trying to retool instead of rebuild, and you weren't in position to do any of that. So look, just go scorched earth. This is your team now, Pete. This is your team. Just go scorched earth, rebuild it from the ground up, and then you can start making some progress. Because trying to just compete off the bat when you weren't that great of a team the year before that, it's not really, especially with who you got. Wasn't a big fan of the Geno hire at all. New Orleans Saints, honestly, their season is going a lot better. They have like one win, maybe two. Do they have 2 wins? I think they've got one. I'm pretty sure they got one win. I'm gonna go ahead and go and say they have one win. They only have one win, but it's going a lot better than what I thought it was. To be honest, I wasn't sure how the Spencer Rattler experience would go, but Kellen Moore, I've always been a fan of his offenses, and he is showing why he was such a highly touted offensive mind. Everywhere he's gone, his offenses have succeeded. I mean, you can say what you want about this and that, but his offenses have statistically succeeded wherever he's gone, and he's made Spencer Rattler look like an NFL starter. And do I think that they'll go with Spencer Rattler moving forward? I don't think so, but what you have now is you have a quarterback who knows the system very well, and if you do end up drafting a quarterback, which I do think they will, you have another quarterback who knows the system very well, who can battle out with a quarterback that you draft. So no matter who wins, you'll still end up having, at the base level, an NFL starter at quarterback. So they may be trading Chris Olave. I doubt they will, but you never. Crazier things have happened in the NFL. Out of all the wide receivers to be traded, I do think Jacoby Myers will be the one to get traded, but Chris Olave would be another name to watch. Alvin Kamara isn't going anywhere. They really just need to get past their dead cap situation, because they were kicking the can down the road for so long. It was just like, oh, we don't have to cash these checks anytime soon. And then they started looking back and was like, oh, we have to pay this money that we were. So you're telling me we have to pay all this money? Yes, you have to pay all that money. They're paying the price for their poor financial decisions for all those years. But honestly, for every team that I've listed, better days are ahead. But from rock bottom, I'll pretty much you have nowhere else to go but up. For this next team, Arizona Cardinals, things will probably get worse, honestly. Your starting quarterback went down, and your team's offense looked better. they look better with Jacoby Brissett at the helm than Kyler Murray, which is hilarious, by the way. But I've always thought that Kyler was kind of one foot out of the door in Arizona, because his entire tenure in Arizona has led to pretty much nothing. They've had success in the first 1 or 2 years with Cliff Kingsbury at their offense coordinator or head coach. Sorry. But literally other than that, they haven't had any playoff success. Kyler Murray has, outside of fantasy success, he has no accolades. I don't mean to just pile on him, but I do think that he can be successful on another team. But I've been saying this for a while. I think both parties just need a fresh start. Cardinals need a fresh start away from Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray needs a fresh start away from the Cardinals. A breakup is happening soon, and I think it'll happen this offseason. I wouldn't be shocked if Kyler Murray got traded to where I don't think he'll get traded in season. It's possible, anything's possible, but I would be shocked if he got traded in the middle of this season. But out of everybody, out of all the players in the NFL who could go somewhere, I think Kyler Murray is like my number one choice for getting traded this offseason, which would leave the Cardinals with literally no quarterback and no running back because James Conner is very old and just had a gruesome injury. But they have Marvin Harrison Jr., but they've got Trey McBride. They have Trey McBride. Their defense looks okay, but honestly, if I was a Cardinals fan, I would be crying and throwing up right now. Speaking of crying and throwing up, the Miami Dolphins are... I could literally do like a 1-hour video just talking about the Miami Dolphins and what's been going on this season. But I will save you all the headache and the trouble, and myself the everything. I would love to say that things will get better, and part of me believes they will. Maybe it's the copium of being a fan, but I don't think the head coach is going anywhere. Tua, from what it looks like, at first I thought that maybe they would get rid of him after this season. I don't think Tua's going anywhere. Unfortunately, I don't think the GM is going anywhere, so they're going to run it back another year and essentially just conduct another rebuild. But it's very rare, I will say, that in the NFL, the head coach, quarterback, and GM trio that was part of a failed rebuild get to run it back again and do the entire process over again. Now, can they learn from their mistakes? Yes, they can. Do I have faith in them learning from their mistakes? No, I do not. No, I truly don't. I don't know what's broken with the Miami Dolphins, but I suspect that it comes from something that's a lot higher up than just Tua, even though Tua's taking literally all the hits right now. Has Tua been playing? Listen, I'm still a believer in Tua. Crazy enough, yes, call me loco, but Tua been playing Grail. I said great and well at the same time. Has Tua been playing Grail? Great and well. No, not really at all this season. Has he had success in the past? Yes, literally almost every. He hasn't been healthy, but when he was healthy, he was playing good football. This is the first year where he actually looked like a bad football player. Do I think he just became horrible at football in one season in his 6th year? No. Do I think that the Miami Dolphins will get better next year? Ask me that question next year. I think that there's something horribly wrong with the Dolphins from the root of the team. And I think that Tua's just taking all the hits for it. And people say he's a horrible leader, but I mean, you want the quarterback in the face of the franchise to literally take all the blame when things go wrong. And quite literally, what is he doing right now? Who else is blaming Tua other than quite literally everybody? Also, about that comment, I just want to say before, because this part really this really grinded my gears. The whole comment that Tua made about people showing up late to player meetings and all that stuff, blown out of proportion, by the way. Because first of all, why are you not showing up to position meetings or being late to them? Do you guys not want to win? And I'm sure Tua's had these conversations with these people behind closed doors. Because once stuff gets public like this, that means that it's gotten so bad behind closed doors that they have no choice but to go public with it. And the world just like came into it was like, oh, he's a horrible leader, blah 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 blah. And it's. Do you think that anything would have changed if he continued to just go behind closed doors to these people? I mean, yeah, like, what would have changed? Sometimes these people needed to get put on blast publicly in order to actually have a change about themselves. And once kind of, because people were twisting it, talking about like player-only meetings that, you know, the whole team goes to, kind of like the player-only meeting they had after week 1. Not the same thing. These were the positional meetings that people were showing up late to, not going to, offense and defense, whatever. And people were just trying to blame Tua for not having control of the team. But honestly, I'm so like, listen, it's all Tua's fault. That's really that's all of it. It's all Tua's fault. I'm not even gonna just continue arguing with people, you know, because he hasn't played well. Can't say he has. It's all Tua's fault. Cleveland Browns, honestly, level with me. Are you leveled? The Cleveland Browns, if they find a quarterback, I am a fan of Kevin Stefanski. Say what you want about the man, he has had horrible quarterbacks throughout his tenure, and the Browns have not drafted a high round quarterback with him, or a high profile quarterback. Like, if you get this man a legitimate quarterback, I truly think the Browns could be good. They have the defense, they got talented wide receivers, their O-line needs some work, and they've got some great running backs. I think that there's potential here. That's all I'm gonna say about the Cleveland Browns, because I'm not gonna hype up the Cleveland Browns too much. But there's potential with these Cleveland Browns. Houston Texans, my goodness, did people try to crown CJ Stroud way too early? I'm still a believer in CJ, just like I'm a believer in Tua still. But honestly, CJ Stroud looks worse than Tua. First of all, Tua doesn't even look that bad. Like, yes, he's made a lot of mistakes, but their O-line is horrific. Speaking of horrific O-lines, back to the Texans. The Texans O-line is also horrific, but CJ Stroud has actually regressed, because even when it's not the O-line's fault, it's like, wow. I haven't seen CJ Stroud play like this literally like ever. And I watched almost every single snap from him from college all the way to the Texans. And this is probably the worst I've ever seen him. I do think he'll bounce back, because he's still very young. He can make these mistakes. He's still a young quarterback. Listen, progress is not always linear. But the Texans are horrible. And anybody who tries to say like, oh, they still have a chance to win the division, no, they do not. Or make the playoffs, no, they do not. Listen, rev up those mock drafts. Your players are going to Cancun. Rev up those mock drafts, Texans fans. Listen, I know it hurts. Because I had playoff expectations too. Not for the Texans. Actually, I did for the Texans. But for my team, I had playoff expectations too. And look, we in the same boat now. we in the same Cancun boat. But yeah, it's wow. That's honestly one of the biggest shockers of the year. How bad the Houston Texans have been. And I don't think it'll get better throughout the season. I really, out of all the teams, I have them highest rated because their defense is the best out of all of these guys. And I do think that their offense has the potential to be the best out of all these teams. But rev up those mock drafts. The quicker, here's what I can say for Texans fans. Because this team is good enough to give you false hope throughout this season. Don't fall into the trap. There may be times where you're like, can we still do? No, you cannot. I've seen enough out of this team. They're not good. They're not good. And the sooner you realize that, the more peace of mind you'll have. Next tier. It's not over, but it's looking bad. You can say anything after that but it's looking bad. Look, first of all, we have the Giants. If the Giants won last week, they would have had a case to be higher up on this list. They wouldn't have been in the next tier. You're gonna see why, because that next tier only got one team. I'm on a hater watch, but Giants probably would have been in the tier after that. But look, I love, as like everybody does. Hold up, a water break. I know I just crushed the fuck out of that bottle. And if you ask, was it good? Yes. Did it not look good? I just crushed the bottle. Yes, it was good. Oh my god. Look, I'm not as wild. But we were talking about Jackson Dart earlier. I'm a big fan of Jackson Dart. Oh my gosh. He's such a baller. I don't know if I ever said this on video. I know I talked to my friends about it. And I saw one other person on social media mention this comp. And what I'm about to say, I don't mean a full comp. He meant a full comp. The way, don't cancel me for this. Don't take my ball knowledge away from me. Listen. Just have open ears and open eyes. I want you to, once I say this, I want you to go and watch both of these players. It's this specific skill set I want you to watch. The way Jackson Dart maneuvers in the pocket, in rushes out of the pocket, it reminds me of Patrick Mahomes. Almost identically. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he throws a football like Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying the way it's wild because he's so young. He's in his rookie year, but his ability to maneuver inside the pocket and manipulate the pocket, because Mahomes has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league at doing this. And that's why he extends the play for so long. That's why he has so much success when plays break down. And that's why he has so much success rushing the football. Because from what I see with these two quarterbacks, their ability to, whenever the offensive line gets pressure, their ability to get away from pressure and maneuver within the pocket to establish a new pocket. It's actually like uncanny how great both of these guys are at it. And I can guarantee you that Jackson Dart watched a lot of Patrick Mahomes film, because the way he maneuvers in the pocket, it's very Mahomes-esque, you know, as they say Mahomes-esque. But I love Jackson Dart, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. And Cam Scatterbo is great running back. Is he gonna rush, get a 50-yard rushing touchdown, 80-yard? No, but he's an old school grinder, and I think that the Giants have the ability to build something special here. Always been a fan of Brian Daboll, even going back to his Buffalo days. So I really think that the Giants have the ability to build something special here. And honestly, their season is not over. But it'll be very hard for them to actually continue and make the playoffs, especially because their division is stacked. And they're in the NFC. We're going to talk about that later, though. But Washington Commanders, listen. Next year is going to look real good, okay? Honestly, all three of these teams. Next year going to look real good. Listen, Commanders, this just wasn't your year. It's just too many injuries. It'll be hard to overcome it. Again, you're in a very difficult division, like the Giants, and you're in the NFC. I'm honestly not going to talk more about that because listen, Commanders fan, it's okay. It's okay. You guys were this close to being on the last slide, but I believe they're 3-3. So I cannot consciously put them over there because they still have hope for the season, but it's not looking good. Baltimore Ravens, listen. The Baltimore Ravens were this close to getting put on that other slide. They were the closest out of all these teams to getting put on that other slide. And you guys know why. But we also all know why, as football fans, why it's not over for them. Because they have Lamar Jackson coming back. But honestly, he might not even play this week. So, like, if they start off 1-6, it's done. Listen, you're going to the next slide. Cancun is calling. So yeah, if Lamar Jackson doesn't play this week, oh yeah, Ravens are they're on that pass slide, and honestly, they'd probably be number 1 over there whenever Lamar gets back, because they're a completely different team when he's captaining the ship. So, on to the next one. Yes, listen. Honestly, I want all y'all to just see all of this. I don't know where my face scan is. I know it's like in the bottom left corner. So if you can, just look at all of that. Listen, this next tier, fraud watch. Yes, fraud watch. You are not him, buddy. Stop the silly act. Jacksonville Jaguars. I've never gotten the Jacksonville Jaguars hype train. It's been going on for the past like 2 to 3 years. Since Trevor Lawrence became the quarterback, everybody's just been sucking off the Jacksonville Jaguars, acting like they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. One, Trevor Lawrence is not that great. I'm sorry. I've never been a believer in him. Even coming out of the draft, everybody was saying he was a generational quarterback. No. Go back and watch the college film. Compare him to other college quarterbacks that have been great. And I listen, if you can still say that looking back, like, okay, yeah, like maybe he wasn't that great of a college quarterback. He was just in a really good system. I'll respect it. But if you can sit here and go watch his college film and still say, oh yeah, this is a generational quarterback that we're watching and not just a really great scheme, I'm questioning your ball knowledge. Wholeheartedly. But do the Jacksonville Jaguars have a very talented roster? Yes. Did I like their head coach when he first got signed? No. Do I like their head coach now? I like him a little bit better. I'm starting to believe in Liam Cohen. Do I like their quarterback? Hell no. Like, the way people talk about Tua, the way the media, everybody that you encounter talks about Tua, that's the quarterback that Trevor Lawrence is. The way people talk about Tua is who Trevor Lawrence actually is. And it's so funny that everybody's like, oh man, Dolphins shouldn't have paid Tua. Okay, you can make an argument for that. You can also make an argument for they should have paid Tua. But where's the outrage for the Jacksonville Jaguars paying Trevor Lawrence, who is a worse quarterback? Like, the Jacksonville Jaguars paid Trevor Lawrence more money than the Dolphins paid Tua, which is it's hilarious. Like, I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars will go anywhere with Trevor Lawrence as their quarterback. I love Brian Thomas. I'm a disgustingly huge fan of Travis Hunter. I think their defense is, while it's not elite, it is good. They have a great defensive coordinator. Liam Cohen, I still believe in him as a head coach, and I do think that he is masking a lot of deficiencies of this team. They got some great running backs back there with Travis Etienne and Bayshaw. I still have not learned how to say your name, but I will say Tutton. But their quarterback is not good. So you are not him, buddy. Stop the silly act. Now we got a lot of teams to cover this because this is the middle of the pack. This is the middle of the pack. You can't see it, get a good look in. Look, I'm not saying, because all these teams these are all playoff caliber. These teams can make the playoffs. A lot of these teams will make the playoffs. This is literally like the in the hunt slash 100% will make the playoff list. But I don't think they're ready to go places. And when I say places, I mean the Super Bowl. Starting off with the Carolina Panthers. I genuinely just don't think the Panthers are there yet. Good teams, but there's something missing. Whether it be the quarterback, injuries, defense, not enough weapons, O-line, every single one of these teams, there's something missing. Panthers, I think that while Bryce Young has progressed, I don't think he's the answer. He has turned into a NFL starting level quarterback, and I do think that he's shown you enough to proceed with him as an option. But I do think they should draft another quarterback to have him battle it out with. Their defense, it's spotty, but their interior D-line is phenomenal. Their rush defense, interior-wise, is ridiculous. Edges, but they're working towards it. They're a good football team. Atlanta Falcons. I think that the Atlanta Falcons, they're a very young and ascending team, and I think they are nowhere near their peak. And I think their peak is, honestly, it's hard to say what their peak is, because I'm a believer in Michael Penix, and a lot of people are giving him a bunch of crap. But I mean, he's essentially still a rookie. I know he's not a rookie, but the guy played 3 games in the last 3 games of this season in his rookie year. He has less than 10 games under. He's still a rookie. Like, he's still young. He's making a lot of rookie mistakes. He'll learn. He'll grow. I love what I'm seeing from him, though. He looks very good for how early into his career he is, because this is not a second-year quarterback. This is still still his first year, because he doesn't have the 1 year of game reps under his belt. They still have Bijan, we know who Bijan is. Drake London's a monster. Darnell Mooney is severely underrated. Kyle Pitts is finally looking like the tight end who everybody knew he could be. Their defense is actually turning into something. They can develop this year, but they will only go as far as Michael Penix will take them. So it'll really depend on Michael Penix's development as a quarterback into how far they go. But they can go places. But unfortunately, I think their peak this year will be the next slide that you'll see. Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are like an enigma. I don't think that they will make any playoff noise this year, but they are going in the right direction this year. It's hard to make a transition from a completely mediocre franchise into being a winning franchise, and you're kind of seeing the transition right now. Will it all be roses and daisies this year? No. But I do think that you will start to see higher peaks and glimpses of the future and what things could be closer towards the end of this year. So I really like the Bears, but I never thought that this would be the year that they would really take off. I thought this would be the year that you would actually start to see visible change with their team construct and their franchise. Cincinnati Bengals. I really wanted to put this team higher, but my soul could not physically do that. Also, this list was made before the Thursday night football game, by the way. I really wouldn't have changed anything maybe put the Vikings lower, but honestly, yeah. But I really wanted to put the Cincinnati Bengals higher, but their degree of difficulty because they have to stay in the hunt until about week 14 when Joe Burrow gets back. They can do it. Especially because I don't believe in the AFC this year. I think the AFC is very weak this year. A lot of people are going to argue with me about that. But I will literally dissect, because you see the top of this list is pretty much the top AFC teams for the most part. There's a lot of them that will be in other tiers. We only have 2 more. But yeah, I'm not a firm believer in the AFC this year. I think the NFC, I made a video about it. The NFC has overtaken the AFC for me, honestly. It used to be AFC was like creme de la creme. NFC was just like 2 good teams and that's it. Now the NFC is like a gauntlet. And the AFC is roses. It's not roses and daisies, but it's nowhere near how the NFC is looking. But it'll be hard just because Joe Flacco is older and he is new to the team. And I think that it'll be interesting to see this third game that they play. Who do they play, by the way? Forget. Because I'm just going to keep talking. Because Joe Flacco's first 2 games that he played, one, he had played against the Packers, who he played against this year, so it was a little bit easier. Yes, he didn't know the playbook, which speaking of that, he didn't even know the playbook and he still played well. Insane. But they played the Jets. Okay, yeah, easy win. But he also played the Steelers, who he's been playing for years. He's been playing the Steelers for years. So it's not like it was 2 teams that he had a high degree of difficulty playing against. I think the Jets will be more of a challenge for the Bengals than the Steelers and the Packers were for Joe Flacco and the Bengals, just because he's played the Packers defense already this year, so he knew exactly what to look for, and he's been playing Mike Tomlin's defense for years. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds and how he plays with this Bengals offense against other teams. Lucky for them, their first 2 games, because now he has time to actually learn the playbook and get practice reps in before he actually gets cast out into the wild. But luckily for them, their first 2 games, they played 2 teams who he was very familiar with this season. The Vikings, we just saw them get dismantled Thursday night, but I do think that they have a possibility. There is a chance for them to still make the playoffs. Because I know a lot of people will say J.J. McCarthy is a horrible quarterback. He got soft benched, whatever, this, that, what have you. I don't think he got soft benched. I don't think he's a horrible quarterback. I think that the Vikings offensive line is just dismantled right now. And we talked about putting your young quarterbacks in a position to succeed. They don't want to put him behind that offensive line when he's not 100% healthy, because we saw Carson Wentz get murdered on Thursday night. That would have been J.J. McCarthy on a bad ankle. Do I think he was able to play Thursday night? Yes. But the only problem with that, and why I don't think he played Thursday night, is because he's essentially still a rookie. This is his first year. He's only played 2 games in the NFL. But I don't think they wanted his 3rd NFL game, coming back from an injury, with all this pressure, into a Thursday night game where they don't even practice. All they do are just walkthroughs. So I think they want him to get a full week of practice, full week of game planning, full week of reps before he steps back foot onto the field. Because that's setting your quarterback up for success. Dallas Cowboys. This team would have been so good if they had Micah Parsons. That's all I can think of when I see this team. I know it pains Jerry Jones because he's thinking the same thing. And he knows he screwed up. he knows he screwed up. But they still have a chance because their offense can carry them. No. Can their offense carry them into a deep playoff run? No. I don't think their defense is good enough for that. But I think that they have a chance to make the playoffs because their offense is that good. Pittsburgh Steelers. It's always something with the Steelers. Like they're always a good football team, but it feels like under Mike Tomlin they're always missing like that one key piece. This year, on offense at least, they're missing. They need another wide receiver. Honestly, DK is great and all, but they're not feeding him enough. And if you're not going to make DK the focal point of your passing game, you need another receiver because they don't really have any other options. I know they just did look great in the unction. I know they look great in the unction, but you got to remember, Bengals defense is horrible. Speaking of horrible, it's not horrible, but the Steelers defense is severely overrated. I thought it would be a lot better than what it is, and I thought that they would get better as the season goes on, and they were getting better, and then they just... So that is why the Steelers are not higher. I know they're first in division, but they're first in division, and they're tied with odds with the Ravens. The Ravens have the exact same odds to win the division as the Steelers, which is insane. I think that the Steelers should be number 1, but I think Bengals should be number 2. Green Bay Packers. Everybody thought they were on top of the world and on top of the NFL, me included, after like week 1. And we were just like, oh my gosh. And then week 2 happened. We were like, oh my gosh, these guys are insane. And then the season started going on, and we were like, okay, they came back down to earth. But I don't think that they're as bad as they have been playing, even though they have been winning. But I also don't think that they're consistently as good as the highs that we saw, but they're there. And they continue to win football games. And even though it's not pretty, they're winning. Do I think they're going to go places deep? No. I don't think they're one of the top teams in the NFC, but I do think they're a great football team. And I do think they can win a playoff game this year. But what they're missing is... Honestly, they need their defense to be more elite. And they're still missing a receiver to just like take over. And yes, it's great and all to spread the ball around, which they do a great job of. But they need their run game to be more consistent, and they do need an alpha receiver. And I think Matthew Golden will come out and be that, but thinking it and doing it are two different things. Los Angeles Chargers. I was nervous about putting them this high, and they proved me right on Thursday. I was really nervous about putting them this high, but I'm still a believer. I just don't think that this is the year for them. Now, will they continue to get better? Yes. I think that there's a chance that they can make it to the AFC conference game, but it'll be tough. They're in a really, really hard division, but they set themselves up for success by going 3-0 in the division off the bat. So they've already set themselves up for success for the rest of the season. All they have to do is just capitalize on the early season success that they have had. Their offensive line has been getting dismantled, but they're getting back healthy, and then another injury just happened this Thursday. It's been up and down for them. Amari and Hampton, who knows how long he'll be out for, but Kamani Vidal does look really good. So I think that the next few seasons for the Chargers are going to be phenomenal. But this year, it might be over. Patriots. A lot of you guys are going to be like, why aren't the Patriots higher on this? The Patriots. Listen, before I say anything, before I dismantle this team, I like what the Patriots are doing. I think they're a good football team. They're on this list. You see the title, good teams, but they're missing something. They're missing something. You know what they're missing? They're missing a top tier wide receiver. Before you say Stephon Diggs is good. he is not the receiver that he once was. And I do think that they should try to go out and trade for a top tier wide route. I was saying wide out and wide receiver. I gotta stop doing that. Wide route, right route, right. Patriots defense is ridiculous. I would not be surprised if the Patriots ended up in an AFC conference game. Zero doubt, zero surprise. I like Drake May. I think that he is someone who they saw how he was in his rookie year, and they were like, okay, let's put him in a position to be successful, and they did that. They built the offensive line. While they didn't get a alpha wide receiver and somebody who they can just go to in all situations, they got a bunch of good wide receivers. Kind of what the Packers are doing. But Stephon Diggs is closer to an alpha than what the Packers have at all. But the biggest thing with the Patriots, they can't run the football. That's the biggest. They can't run the football, and I think that teams are going to dial into that in the playoffs, and that's why they're on this list. Because if they had a great run game, which I do think their run game will develop later into the year, but I don't think it'll be good enough to take them play. I think the playoffs will kind of like expose their run game. But I do think if you play fantasy football, Ramondre Stevenson is probably going to have a really good second half of the season. Just saying. But once teams take away their run game, they'll become one-dimensional, and it'll be easier to kind of stop Drake May in that passing offense. While I say easier because it will still be difficult because he is extremely talented, but that's the reason they're on this list. I think they won't be able to run the ball effectively in the playoffs at all, especially against the really good run defenses that they'll be playing against. This is the second to last tier. Could be Super Bowl contenders, but they're in the NFC. Every single one of these teams, if they were in the AFC, they would be Super Bowl contenders. Am I wrong? Because every single one of these teams are, in my opinion, better than every single AFC team not named the Kansas City Chiefs. But they're in the NFC, so they can't be Super Bowl contenders because they're not better than the top teams in the NFC. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker is on a Linsanity run, but they are way too injured. Mike Evans just got lost for the season. He was already hurt with the hamstring, came back and broke his collarbone. Emeka Egbuka is currently battling injuries right now. Chris Godwin was hurt, came back, got hurt again. They can't catch a break. They would be higher on this list because the defense is really good as well. And Baker Mayfield has been playing like the MVP candidate, but it'll probably stop. The steam will kind of dissipate because also that's literally what you see in that picture is what the NFC is. That's the NFC right now. That's literally the NFC right now. But it's tough for Bucs fans because they really could have been Super Bowl contenders. Even though they're in the NFC, had they not been injured. Seattle Seahawks are one team that really, they shocked me. I thought the Seahawks were going to be good, but I didn't think they were going to be this good. And I wouldn't be shocked if they were Super Bowl contenders, but I wouldn't bet on it. Because I do think there's better teams than them, but their defense is playing phenomenally. Sam Darnold is playing like exactly how he was on the Vikings. The only thing that I have to say about Sam Darnold is I want to see how he plays in the playoffs because on the Vikings, that's where he really kind of like shit the bed. And I want to see how he plays. If he starts turning up in the playoffs, this team could get dangerous. That is the only reason why I have them this low because one, they can run the ball. You can't stop JSN. And if you do find a way to stop JSN, they have Cooper Kupp on the other side and in the slot going to just dismantle you. And if they don't find Cooper Kupp, he'll find somebody else. This team is playing lights out. I love what they're doing. I love watching the Seahawks. Los Angeles Rams. This is a team who could be sneaky good. But it seems like it's always something that just finds a way to just like screw up Matthew Stafford's chances of being great. But their defense has been playing phenomenally this year. They're one of the best defenses in the league, and they have arguably the best, if not one of the top 5 wide receiver tandems in the league between Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. I know Puka's hurt right now, but he will be back. They can run the football really well with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. And they have a possible Hall of Famer back there in Matthew Stafford, and one of the best quarterbacks of this past decade. And when I say one of the best, I don't mean top 3, top 5. But he is one of the better passers that we've seen this past decade. 100%. I think the Rams could make a push to be Super Bowl contenders, but I don't think they're as good as the top teams in the NFC. Now, let's get on to our actual Super Bowl contenders. Also, there was supposed to be a Lombardi trophy that was in the middle of this. Not sure where it went, but it still looks fine. I was like, wait a second, where's the Lombardi trophy that's supposed to be in the middle of the Caesar Superdome in the Super Bowl? It's okay. It's all right. Starting off with the Denver Broncos. This is a team that really surprised me. I was expecting I was expecting the Bo Nix sophomore slump, but they've done a really good job of masking any offensive deficiencies that they've had with an incredible defense. And Bo Nix is getting better every week. I said I had a theory about him being a second half of the year player. It's looking like a better take by the week. Because honestly, in year 3, if he starts off slow, I'm taking all of his. I will wait like 3 weeks for all of his season overs to like go down and just take the over on all of them. Because I really do think he is a second half of the year player. My case is building. My case is, if I had a tinfoil hat right now, I'd put it on. Case is building. But I think the Broncos are out of all the AFC teams that could contend the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they are number 1. Maybe the Chargers, but I got to see how the Chargers offensive line progresses throughout the year. But the Denver Broncos are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Like, if they can find a way to get to the AFC Championship game, they have the best chance out of any of these teams on this list to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Whatever you say. Indianapolis Colts. Yes, they have the best record in the NFL. Do I think they're the best team in the NFL? No. But do I respect them as a team? Yes. They have a really great defense. Jonathan Taylor is probably the best running back in the league right now. Also, people were disrespecting Jonathan Taylor heavily in fantasy football. Like, he wasn't regarded as a top 3 running back and number 1 of that top 3 within CMC, Derrick Henry, and Jonathan Taylor a few years ago before he got hurt. It was literally JT, CMC, Derrick Henry. Any of those 3, best running back in the league, you can just have at it. And he got hurt, had horrible quarterbacks behind him, and teams just kind of keyed on him and run. He was still very successful, but didn't look like the best running back in the league. But now that he actually has a legitimate quarterback, also anybody that, because you saw that video that I did about my favorite fantasy sleepers. Daniel Jones was on that, and I said back against the wall if you got the last pick in the draft. Also, he hasn't been a great fantasy quarterback, but he's been a serviceable one. And my point stands that he is in the best system of his entire career. He has the best weapons of his entire career, best O-line of his entire career, and arguably the best running back of his entire career. Why wouldn't he succeed? It's not like he was just a horrible quarterback on the Giants. He was not great, but he wasn't horrible. People mistake that sometimes. But I think the Colts are a good football team, but I don't think they are. I think they can make it to the AFC. All of these teams, I think they can make it to the AFC Championship. And I do think the Colts are really good. And they'll be a very tough out in the playoffs just because their defense is really good. And I don't see anybody who can stop Jonathan Taylor, honestly. I just think that if they play against either the Bills or the Chiefs. Both of those teams can kind of just like out-comp them at quarterback. And I think that Daniel Jones will he'll get outclassed at quarterback in those games. Speaking of the Buffalo Bills, they could literally, I don't know why they're being so stubborn about this. They could be one of the top teams in the NFL if they just got Josh Allen, an elite wide receiver. And I know he had Stephon Diggs for all those years. I think they're kind of just too built into this. We got rid of Stephon Diggs, and now we've just been playing great team football. Josh Allen's been spreading the ball around. That's nice and all. But every single time you watch this offense, it's like, man, you know how great this team would be if they had like a legitimate, like, all-pro, Pro Bowl wide receiver? You don't even need to feed him. You don't need to feed him like how you were feeding Stephon Diggs. You don't need an all-pro. Just get a Pro Bowler. Go get Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers would make this Buffalo Bills team so much better. Infinitely better. Go get Jacoby Myers. It actually, like, I have a love-hate relationship with the Bills because I love watching them play football, but I hate them as a Dolphins fan. And they piss me off because you guys could be so great, yet you choose this life. You choose this life of being, like, right on the cusp of greatness and not snatching it because you choose to stand your ground on your take of Stephon Diggs was the problem with this team. Yes, he was a problem, but you can that doesn't mean that you just need to leverage yourselves into a position of standing your ground about, oh, we don't need a top tier wide receiver to be great, blah, blah, blah. We have Josh Allen. Yes, you have Josh Allen, but look at what Patrick Mahomes did with no receivers. You can have the greatest quarterback. You can have the greatest quarterback ever, but if he doesn't have help, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to win things, especially when other teams, Kansas City Chiefs, with great quarterbacks, have all these weapons. Because yes, you can get an assortment of weapons like how the Kansas City Chiefs have. Just upgrade them. Upgrade your weapons, please. Like I don't get it. Philadelphia Eagles, they've got so much stuff going on, and they still find a way to be great. They are one of the better teams in the league and one of the best teams in the NFC. And say what you want about them, they win football games. Through thick and thin, through chaos and hardship, they win football games. And it's hard for me to put them over the other two NFC teams that you see. I don't know if you can. I don't know where face cam is. But it's hard for me to put them over these other teams just because they've had so much chaos in their locker rooms. But if they ever figure everything out this season, which I do think they will, they could easily just like that reclaim their spots as the top team in the NFC. Detroit Lions. They could be the number one team in the NFL, but it's like they have all this talent. They're a phenomenal football team. Arguably number two football team in the NFL. Arguably number one football team in the NFL. But they just have these games where they just can't get everything right. And it's like things just go drastically wrong here, there. Next thing you know, they're in a hole. And it's like, and they have to build themselves out of that hole. And they have enough offensive firepower to get out of the hole, but it's like another hole appears. And they just have these random games of that happening. And it happens at the worst moments. So I don't know what it is internally with that team, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions win a Super Bowl because they're just that talented. but I do think that they're structurally more consistent and better teams in the league. And I can't put them number 2 or number 1 in the NFL. But they are number 3 in my opinion, because they're literally, you can put them at number 1 in the. I could have put the Lions number 1 and nobody would have batted an eye. And if they did, they would have been like, honestly, I respect it. Next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers. This team, I genuinely think we could see another 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl. 49ers are my team that I have coming out of the NFC, because I think whenever they do get fully healthy, whenever they get Ricky Pearsall back, whenever George Kittle gets a few more games under his belt and kind of gets back into the football swing, whenever Brandon Ayuk gets back, yes, they are missing a lot of key defensive pieces, but they've been finding a way to make it work and still keep their defense really good, which gives me the belief that they're looking like the 49ers. And if you watch football, you know what I mean. The 49ers look like the 49ers. And that's a scary thing, especially since they haven't had their quarterback. They haven't had their top 2 wide receivers. And the wide receivers that they do have, one of them's playing with broken ribs. Like, Kendrick Bourne is going for 180 yards. It's like Mac Jones is out here cooking. 49ers are going to be scary come playoff season. And I don't see any team that can really, once they get healthy, I don't see any team in the NFC that can really dethrone them. And I say dethrone them like they're at the top, but they're moving like they're at the top of the NFC. Even though they're not record-wise at the top, that's exactly how they're moving. Kansas City Chiefs, anybody that was talking mess about the Kansas City Chiefs, you can go back in any video that I said, or any video that I had. Listen, the Kansas City Chiefs, this is the best wide receiver group that Patrick Mahomes has had in so long. Anybody that says that this team, they're not top of the AFC right now, they're not even winning their own division. They will be. Are you kidding me? Have you not seen what they've been doing? Have you not seen how Patrick Mahomes is the MVP? Like, I've been saying this before Rashee Rice came back. People always told me, hey, they're probably not going to win the division. Xavier Worthy was out. Rashee Rice was out. And they were still finding a way to compete and win football games because Patrick Mahomes is playing like the most valuable player in the league right now, because he is the most valuable player in the league. I have no more to say. If they are head and shoulders above literally everybody else in the AFC right now, and it's scary because this team is really good. And I find it difficult to think anybody can really dethrone them. But let me know what you guys thought of this power rankings, tier list, whatever. Let me know if you guys want me to continue to update this throughout the season. I'm definitely gonna be doing one of these every half football year. But I might if you want me to update it throughout the season, just let me know. I'll keep doing stuff like this. But I enjoyed making it, and I enjoyed making this video. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let me guys know how you guys are messing with this power rankings, tier list, whatever you want to call it. But that's all we got for today. Class dismissed.